Hello and welcome to Mindset Mondays with DTK. This is episode number 162 in an ongoing series of live broadcasts designed for folk who've already figured it out. The folk who have already come to understand that the best way to get better at doing what you do is to get better at being who you be, who you are at your core. This is a series for folk who are seeking to create a growth mindset or those who already have. So, wow, by the way, we are live now on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Clubhouse. So if you'll take just a moment and on each of your platforms, click share to invite your folks, your friends, your colleagues to the conversation. The more voices we have, the richer the conversation. Ooh, been an interesting series of conversations about what we're good at and what we're not. And I was sort of taken back to my first coaching certification program 12 years ago. And during that certification program, I had the opportunity to have 6 different supervisions. Those are where one of my coaching sessions, one of the recordings, was reviewed and critiqued by a master coach. And my goal was to get a perfect score as early and as often as I could. I scoured through hours of recordings of some perfectly mediocre coaching, all of my early calls, and I was digging for a call that I could turn in where I thought I had nailed it. And it was a Pyrrhic victory. I mean, yeah, I got a 9 out of 10 on my first supervision. And then at the end of the call, my supervisor told me that I had completely wasted our time together. That was not the response I was hoping to get. What I had learned was that if anything is worth doing, it's worth doing badly. And I had focused so much on trying to do it right, trying to get a good mark, trying to look smart, that I had missed the opportunity. And for the next 5 of my supervisions, I submitted one of my most challenging coaching sessions, the ones where I struggled, the ones where I fumbled, the ones where I was so focused on asking the next right question that I missed the content of what was going on, where I tried to solve a problem, where I got distracted by what was being said and completely missed what wasn't being said. Now, the learning that came from unpacking those sessions where I got 3s and 4s and 5s out of 10, that was invaluable. That made me a much better coach much faster than a string of 9s and 10s would have. There are a lot of things that we have learned that were seemingly impossible tasks, that were challenging things to learn, that were massive efforts in reshaping the way we think. You know, as toddlers, learning to walk was bumping into things, hitting the ground, skinning our knees. But that's the way we learned to balance. That was better than the slow, methodical, perfect steps ever could have been. The way we learned was by bouncing off of things, but it's fascinating. We learned despite being frustrated, despite being frazzled. And frustration tolerance is a huge thing, particularly for high achievers. The challenge is for high achievers and also for kids with ADD and ADHD, there's a nice confluence here. Success can come super early and super fast. Well, here's the challenge. We don't build up frustration tolerance that way. The things that we have to work at and the things that we suck at along the way and the things that we have to move through that conscious incompetence and grow during, those are the things that build that skill of frustration tolerance. And here's the challenge. If we don't Learn that young enough. It's a very difficult skill to acquire as an adult. I struggle with frustration tolerance. I like it when I'm good at something quickly. I like it when I can see a path to get good quickly. I like channeling my efforts towards those things, and I seem to viscerally steer away from the things that I see a long runway of getting good at, where I see a long stretch of where I'm going to suck at it, where I know that there's going to be a long period of managing frustration. If I had done that, let me put it this way, if my wife had low frustration tolerance, we wouldn't still be married. It took a lot of work to create the relationship that we have. It's taken a lot of work to become a masterful coach. And there was a lot of frustration along the way because I had to pay attention to the things that I wasn't good at yet to get good at it and to move towards mastery. And that's part of the challenge. Perfection is neither the path nor the goal because perfection doesn't exist. Welcome to being human. Seeking it, seeking perfection, or seeking to short circuit the natural progression of learning only guarantees suffering. Making mistakes and learning from them is how we become better at being ourselves. Mary Virginia asked a great question. How about frustration resilience rather than frustration tolerance? Resilience includes the sense that there are positives that can come from the result of the frustration. I'm always trying to reframe it to the positive. And Mary Virginia, I love that. And I think I don't want to skip over the fact that there is a skill that's learned by tolerating that frustration, by being with it. And yes, that's resilience, being with it to move through it. What is the misattributed quote to Churchill? When you find yourself going through hell, keep going. When you find yourself moving through frustration, keep moving. Keep going. The only way to be resilient is to go through it and move to the other side. And that's still, I say that so lightly. And I know that it's a challenge for me. And I know for a lot of high achievers, it is particularly difficult. It doesn't matter that we learned how to walk and learned how to talk as toddlers, as children. Those were Herculean tasks that required massive rewiring of body and brain. Yet, none of us said, oh, this is terribly difficult. Let's not do it. And yet, when it comes to taking on a new skill, adopting a new mindset, learning a new technique or tactic, launching a new business, there's so many times where we stop because we can't see how long it's going to be until we're there, until we've learned it, till we've acquired the skill, till we've mastered it, till we nail it perfectly. The natural path is to suck at things along the way. If a thing is worth doing, it's worth doing badly. If it's something worth acquiring and bringing into your life, my God, there may be periods of time where you're going to suck at it. So I'm curious, where is perfection getting in the way? And more importantly, what are you willing to suck at? What are you willing to be terrible at on the way in service of getting better? Where are you willing to tolerate the frustration in service of getting better at it? As I play with group programs and launching group programs with varying degrees of suckiness along the way. The test that I'm putting myself through is, am I willing to continue to tolerate the frustration of not nailing it so that I can? Mirvija says, I love this quote. I've been feeling it lately, so having the quote as a reminder is right on time. I'm fascinated. I have a library of quotes that I pull from, and sort of feel like it's picking like it is when you walk in to get a holiday card for somebody or a birthday card. Give nice soft focus to the wall of cards. One of the first two you pick out is going to be perfect. There's always a perfect card in there. And there's always a perfect quote, and it's always at just the right time. And it's amazing how salient these things are to my life and the folks who tune into these. They always come at the right possible time. And when they resurface on social media, on LinkedIn or Facebook or YouTube, they always resurface at just the right time. And this is just the message I need to be playing with now. If a thing is worth doing, it's worth doing badly. So what I invite you to do this week is to suck at something. To look at something that you're learning, a new idea, a new concept, a new mindset, a new way of thinking, being, or doing, and lean into your willingness to be terrible at it in service of getting good at it. Play with new ways of being with it. Don't work on it. Bring the energy of play and experimentation and tolerance and give yourself a break. And in between now and Monday, come to Mindset Monday. I do this every week. Come to facebook.com/groups/Mindset Mondays and join the conversation there. I'm also live on Clubhouse during this broadcast, and I open up the mics after for more of a conversation there. And I look forward to seeing you here next week, 10 a.m. Eastern on Monday morning for the next chapter of Mindset Mondays. And between now and next week, what mindset will you choose?